Today we've got a fascinating pairing. One is basically a big collection of dialogues, everyday chats people have,
Mhm.
going about their day. And the other source, it's more reflective, looking at, well, how we use our time, how we approach learning, that kind of thing.
That's right. And they might seem, totally different at first glance. You've got these very practical conversation snippets on one side, and then these deeper thoughts about time and action on the other. But our mission really is to find the key insights in both. What do they tell us about communicating, about getting things done? And maybe most importantly, what can you take away from them?
Absolutely. I'm really curious to see how these different pieces connect and what practical ideas shake out. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with that first set of sources, the everyday dialogues. They cover such a huge range: calling someone, going to the post office, getting a haircut, asking for directions, even handling emergencies. Instead of just listing everything, maybe we should look at what these dialogues show about the kinds of communication we deal with all the time.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it because these aren't just like random phrases pulled out of thin air. They really demonstrate the practical side of language, right? Communication isn't just about knowing words, it's about using them effectively to achieve something specific in a particular context.
Exactly. So take something like navigating services or making transactions. The sources have dialogues for the post office, the bank. And what jumps out is the level of detail needed. Like at the post office, you might need to specify parcel post registered or ask about costs. The source mentions postcards for $1, $2, $5, or ensuring a package $30 insurance costs $60, apparently.
Right. And the bank scenario highlights needing your name, account number, the amount $500 is the example withdrawal. There's even that bit about typing a password into a machine. It just shows you need to be clear and precise when you're dealing with procedures, especially with money. Saying exactly what you need, I want to withdraw $500, or having that account number ready.
And being ready for different payment types, too. The bank part mentions cashing a $100 check. But later, a car rental dialogue brings up cash versus credit card. So it's about adapting your language based on the specific transaction.
Definitely. Or think about asking for directions and navigating transportation. Bus, subway, taxi, they all require slightly different questions and information. For the bus, it's asking, does this go to? Hmm. Finding out about transfers, the source says, get off at the bookstore, take number 39. Understanding the fare, which is $1 in the example, or how often it comes, number 9 runs every 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the subway adds another layer. Needing specific coins for the machine, understanding tokens versus tickets, and following directions like line 5, transfer to line 1 at Central Bank, and counting, what was it, 10 stops? Maps might be involved too.
And taxis. That dialogue had a sense of urgency late for railway station in 20 minutes. Plus, understanding how the fare works, the example mentions a kilometer rate, first 3 kilometers for $10, then $2 per extra kilometers, adding up to $28. And even clarifying extra charges, like $1 per suitcase.
It really emphasizes needing to process and give information, often numerical, pretty quickly and accurately. Sometimes when you're a bit stressed, like trying to catch a train.
Exactly. How many stops? What's the fare? Those are really common practical things you need to be able to handle.
Then there's the whole area of handling personal needs and well-being. You see this in the hospital visit or the drugstore dialogues. You need the words to describe symptoms clearly: bad cough and a sore throat, feeling hot or having a fever, a backache. And you absolutely need to understand the instructions you're given about medicine: pills every 6 hours, or the dose being 1 pill at a time, 3 times a day.
Right. And at the drugstore, it's about specifics again. Asking for Centrum, the source mentions 30 or 50 tablet bottles, maybe getting 2 bottles of 50, or knowing the total cost $20 for the vitamins and toothbrushes in that example, plus the process for prescriptions needing a prescription card, knowing it might take 10-15 minutes to fill.
And the personal care dialogues, too. Beauty salon, barbershop, gym. They show us talking about, well, how we look and feel and our health routines. Describing skin issues like oily skin, asking for advice. The source even touches on discussing plastic surgery, breast enlargement, wanting more lift, balancing that with concerns about appearance or what others think.
Or giving really precise instructions at the barber's. Short on both sides, not so much off at the back. Trim the beard, shorter on the temples, or asking about conditioner or a facial massage. And the gym talk frequency, twice a week, using specific apparatus like the running machine or dumbbells, different activities for different people, light sports for girls like yoga, and goals like wanting strong muscle or needing bodybuilding equipment.
It's all about having the language for self-care, describing your body, expressing what you want, and understanding advice related to health or how you look.
Then there are those slightly more intense situations, managing emergencies and unexpected situations. Calling 911 is a big one. The source gives examples for a robbery needing the location, Motel 23 on Pine Street, victim's name, Emily Davis, and knowing help is coming fast, officer in less than 3 minutes. Or reporting a fire again, location, Mr. Smith on the corner of South Street, number of people inside, 3 people, critical details, 1 passed out, and reassurance help is coming, men there in 3 minutes.
And losing things, it happens. Reporting a lost backpack when, 20 minutes ago, where near the toilet, owner's name, Ben Scott, contact info, cell number 708-6356, or a lost suitcase owner, Mike Jones, contents, clothes, files, passport, or describing a lost purse, brown leather logo in center.
These are definitely high-stakes moments. You need to be clear, concise, accurate, give the location, describe what's happening, provide names or numbers quickly and ideally calmly. That's vital.
Absolutely. And then moving away from the stressful stuff, there's the whole world of social interaction and home life. This covers everything from formal events like a commencement ceremony, who's speaking, who's giving out diplomas, which is apparently a secret, inviting parents feeling proud after slaving away a study.
To more relaxed celebrations. A birthday party receiving a gift like a cute cat named Lily, mentioning cutting the cake, introducing people like Kathy who likes dancing, or a wedding offering congratulations, saying you're enjoying the party, talking about gifts, 2 plane tickets to Hawaii, a picture gift, check-in details like the invitation saying next Friday, even asking someone to be a bridesmaid.
It just shows the language we use for celebrating, giving gifts, making introductions, discussing plans and roles in these social settings.
And then there's the nitty-gritty of home life. Just chatting about the day, leaving, coming back, feeling off color, being busy or tired, doing extra work, working overtime, maybe thinking about changing jobs, discussing schedules, flexible work, maybe having less time together versus making sure someone's taken care of.
Coordinating meals, having a guest, deciding between beef, chicken, or fish, making fish and chips, listing salad ingredients like lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and spices, garlic, parsley, ginger, green onions, remembering to wash hands, setting the table, fetching someone who's on the phone.
Handling chores, the kitchen being messy, doing some cleaning, washing rags, dealing with a filthy glass with oil blur, using ether, sweeping the dog kennel, shampooing the dog.
Deciding what to watch on TV, checking the schedule, news, a pop show on Channel 7, sci-fi on Channel 5, game shows, an English language program on Channel 1, a football match on Channel 2, even horse racing. It covers channel surfing.
Right, and dealing with family responsibilities like tutoring a child, finals are coming up, revising lessons, going over English exercises, the child needing to do it alone, maybe a poor math result, lack of interest being the problem, needing a remedial class, a parent stepping in to help.
Or just the simple end-of-day routines. Bedtime, finishing homework, wanting to watch more TV versus needing to sleep early for an early start, setting the alarm for $7, reminders about brushing teeth to ward off decay, arguing about video games versus sleep, needing a few minutes, taking a hot bath.
Even the practical side of running a home comes up. Talking about money, domestic expenses, keeping records, tracking living costs, feeling like you're barely making ends meet because expenses are mounting and the cost of everything is rising, trying to keep spending in check, organize it, not live beyond your means, keep a tight rein on expenditure.
And paying specific bills, gas and water bills mentioned is about $300, needing to pay by Saturday, planning to go to the bank, drawing out $400, maybe needing more cash later, even mentioning buying kids' clothes at a secondhand store to save money.
Then there's the family pet. Thinking about getting one as a birthday gift, the source lists options like a guinea pig, parrot, rabbit, tortoise, or dog. A Siberian husky gets a mention for stamina. Deciding on a puppy, and the responsibilities that come with it, whose turn it is to walk the dog, Mary's, cleaning the kennel because it smells bad and needs sweeping, giving the dog a bath, Carl's job, remembering not to shampoo too often because it strips natural oils.
Planning the weekend, too. Ideas like going skiing. The source mentions Holmenkollen in Oslo, the famous ski jump. Or maybe staying home with Grandma, someone having to work overtime instead of going out with Lucy. Simpler plans like going to the cinema or going shopping. Girls like to shop, mentioning specific places like Wangfu Jing Street and Shiden Street.
And finally, having people over Uber, receiving guests, buzzing them in, complimenting their home, taking their coat and bag, offering a drink, tea or water, having fruits and nuts out, eating mango, making them feel comfortable, make yourself at home, waiting for someone else who's on their way, maybe watching the news together.
And even the bigger projects around the home, like decorating and settling in. Buying a place, maybe by a lake. Deciding whether to hire a professional decorator or give them a free hand. Checking if the house is in fine repair. Describing guest rooms with luxurious carpets. Noting the cost. Tackling jobs yourself. A bedroom needing doing over. Scraping loose paint. Maybe asking a friend, Bob, who's a dab hand at decorating, but he's busy. Considering structural changes like pushing out knee wings. Redecorating the parlor with a concise and lively style.
And celebrating moving into a new home, feeling steamed up to move, someone named Johnny having moved and established themselves, celebrating together, maybe getting loaded on champagne, describing the new house layout as out of the ordinary, maybe with a huge garden in a quiet area, discussing affordability, a boyfriend can't afford it yet, hoping to have your own place in the future, appreciating how a garden can help you relax, take you out of yourself, ending with good wishes for fortune and health in the new home.
Wow, it really is an incredible spectrum when you lay it all out like that.
It is. And what's truly fascinating, I think, isn't just the sheer amount of detail in these sources. It's how clearly they demonstrate the functional side of communication. You need different language tools for a formal invitation compared to asking for bus fare or describing a cough. Language is the tool we use to get through the day, essentially.
Exactly. And for you listening, how many of those situations feel familiar? Probably a lot of them, right? This is why getting comfortable with practical communication is so important. It's like the engine that drives our daily lives. These dialogues give us a peek into the specific tools needed for those common journeys. Okay, so holding those everyday scenarios in mind, let's pivot. Let's look at the second source. This one takes a much more reflective stance on how we approach our time, our actions, and importantly, how that impacts our progress, especially when we're trying to learn something new.
Right. And this source doesn't pull any punches. It starts with a pretty strong message. A lot of people aren't really living fully. They're kind of stuck in this cycle, wake up, work, scroll, TV, sleep, repeat, without necessarily feeling like they're moving forward or truly engaged.
Yeah, and the source points out how sneaky this can be. It's not always this big dramatic decision to just stop trying. Sometimes it's more like a slow drift into inertia. You might not even realize it's happening.
Which leads directly into one of its most powerful points, this difference between waiting and wasting.
Yeah.
It captures that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? How often do we tell ourselves things like, oh, I'm just waiting for the right moment, or I'm waiting until I feel more confident, or I'm waiting until I'm really ready.
But then the source hits you with the truth. The truth, we're not waiting, we're wasting. That's a really stark way to put it.
It is, and the analogy it uses is just spot on, like sitting at a train station, telling yourself you're going somewhere, but you never actually bought a ticket. You're stationary, just thinking about movement. The source argues that this perfect moment, this feeling of readiness, it doesn't just arrive. While you're waiting for it, you're actually wasting the very time you could be using to build it.
And it connects this straight to learning, specifically mentioning English learning. How many people wait to feel fluent before they dare to speak? But fluency, as the source says, isn't some magical state you suddenly achieve. It's built brick by brick. You don't wait for it. You build it. And how do you build it? By speaking.
Exactly. So the call to action is immediate. Don't wait for the stars to align. Speak now. Even if it's clumsy, even if you trip, even if you stumble. Because, the source argues, those little messy moments, that's where the real growth begins. It's the action itself, however imperfect, that creates the momentum.
Momentum.
Yeah.
That's key. Because the source also warns about something else that drains our energy and stops us. These tiny invisible leaks. It's not just about waiting for the big right moment. It's also about the small, everyday ways we lose time and focus. The source gives examples we can probably all relate to. Endless scrolling, the procrastinating, the mindless distractions.
Yeah, and the ship analogy here is so effective. Even the biggest, strongest ship will sink if tiny leaks are left unattended. It won't happen dramatically overnight, but over time, drip by drip. Each little bit of procrastination, each mindless scroll through social media, it feels insignificant in the moment. But the source warns that it adds up, and before you know it, you're looking back and thinking, where did all that time go? It just leaked away.
So the source throws out this challenge, which sounds simple but could be quite revealing. Track just 1 hour of your day today. Just pay attention. See where your time and your energy are actually going. The source suggests you'll probably be surprised by how much is leaking out in these small, unproductive ways.
And there's another trap the source points out, one that's particularly sneaky. When your own fear pretends to be productivity. This makes you ask yourself, are you really planning and preparing effectively? Or are you just creating busy work because you're scared to actually do the main thing?
Oh, boy. Guilty as charged on that one sometimes. I can totally relate to making those big, elaborate study plans, getting the color-coded notebooks of fancy planners, all things the source mentions, and feeling super productive just by organizing everything perfectly.
Yeah.
But looking back, yeah, sometimes I was just stalling because I was scared to actually start the real, perhaps harder work.
It's like the source's swimming pool analogy. Standing on the edge, spending hours analyzing the water temperature when really you just need to jump in. All that planning, if it never leads to action, the source argues, is basically just fear wearing a costume. It looks productive, but it's really just procrastination in disguise.
So what's the counter move? The source offers a really direct challenge, especially powerful if you're learning English. Don't plan it, say it. Speak one English sentence out loud today. The point isn't perfection. Doesn't matter if it's messy. The point is to just break the fear with action. Get moving.
And speaking of fear, the source talks quite a bit about comfort zones, that place that feels warm, safe, familiar, which is nice, of course. But the danger, it warns, is that if you only stay there, the comfort zone can eventually become a cage. Your world actually starts to shrink.
I love the analogy it uses for this, the cozy room. At first you love it, then the windows close, the lights dim, and suddenly you realize you can't breathe.
Yeah.
It makes the point that the longer you wait in that comfortable space, avoiding those slightly scary, messy steps outside, like trying to speak English when you feel awkward, the harder it actually gets to leave. Why? Because fear doesn't shrink on its own. You have to move through it.
So again, there's a clear, practical challenge attached. Push your comfort zone. Specifically for English learners, learn one new English phrase that feels a little scary and use it today.
Oh.
Don't wait until it feels comfortable. The value is in using it because it feels a bit scary. That's the push.
And while we're busy managing comfort zones and trying to plug those invisible leaks, time is obviously still passing. The source has a really poignant section about dreams. It says, dreams don't last forever. If you don't act on them, they decay quietly without drama, without warnings.
Yeah, the fruit analogy here really hits home. You have this nice piece of fruit and you keep thinking, I'll eat it tomorrow, maybe later, but you keep putting it off and by then it's rotten, gone.
And the core insight is so powerful. Dreams aren't ruined by failure, they're ruined by delay. Waiting, putting things off, that's what kills potential, not trying and messing up.
So naturally, there's a challenge to fight this decay. Write down one English dream you have. Maybe it's having a conversation, understanding a movie, whatever. And take one messy, imperfect action toward it. It doesn't have to be a huge leap, just one small, tangible step. Because messy action is still action. Messy action saves dreams.
Now, for anyone listening who's maybe thinking, okay, I get it, but I just need a push, or I need someone to motivate me, the source has some pretty direct words. It says, if you're secretly waiting for someone to come and push you, no one's coming to rescue you. Not your teacher, not your friend, not even, listening to us talk about it right now.
That's right. But what's fascinating is how the source frames this. It's not meant to be harsh or discouraging. It's presented as liberating.
Right.
The power is actually in your hands. It's your hand on the steering wheel, the source says. It's your voice learning new words. It's your courage showing up even when you feel awkward. You are the one who can actually make the change happen.
So instead of waiting for external validation, the source suggests a powerful alternative. Encourage yourself. The challenge here is simple but potentially quite profound. Write a short journal entry in English, just a little love note to your future self. It doesn't have to be fancy, just acknowledging the effort. I'm trying, I'm proud of that. Because, as the source beautifully puts it, no one's better at cheering you on than you.
It really boils down to starting, taking that first, maybe small but crucial step yourself.
Which brings us neatly to what feels like the source's ultimate truth, its core message. Action is the antidote to regret. It even includes a personal reflection, someone saying, when I look back at the times I felt the worst, it wasn't because I tried and failed, it was because I didn't even try. That really resonates.
And the description of regret is powerful too. It's not this sudden dramatic event. It's quiet. It builds slowly, like dust gathering in a corner you keep ignoring. Regret, in this view, doesn't come from the things you did, even if they went wrong. It comes from doing nothing at all, from the chances you didn't take.
That's why the source is so emphatic. Motion beats meditation when it comes to change. Thinking about changing, planning to change, waiting to change. That's the meditation part. Actually doing something that's the motion.
And it offers very concrete examples of motion, especially for language learning. Say one sentence out loud today. Record one 30-second clip. Try one new word. It's these small actions that cut through the doubt and the fear. Action creates clarity in a way that just thinking about it never can.
And here's the secret weapon, according to the source. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. That feeling of readiness, it argues, readiness isn't something you wait for. It's something you build by doing tiny, courageous things every day.
Every single messy sentence you manage to speak, every slightly awkward interaction you attempt, that is building readiness. You're laying the bricks.
The source is also incredibly encouraging about the inevitable messiness of it all. Even if your voice shakes a little, even if you make mistakes, it still counts.
In fact, it argues that it counts more in a way. Why? Because in that moment, you chose courage over comfort. That messy action is tangible proof that you're building that readiness muscle.
So it wraps up with one final, very tangible mission for you, the listener. Record a short 30-second voice clip in English. Maybe just talking about your day or trying out that scary new phrase. And the crucial instruction is, don't judge it. Don't pick it apart. Just celebrate the fact that you spoke.
Exactly. The victory isn't in producing a perfect recording. The victory is simply that you moved, you acted. And according to the source, that consistent, messy action is how regret ultimately loses its power. You don't erase past inaction, but you outgrow it by taking action now.
Now, to help solidify some of these concepts, this source actually provides a useful vocabulary breakdown, defines some of the key terms used.
Yeah, that's helpful. Let's quickly run through those definitions as the source gives them. Trap, described as a situation that tricks you and holds you back. Makes sense in the context of procrastination or fear.
Momentum, the force that keeps you moving once you start, that feeling of getting on a roll.
Doubt, simply a feeling of not being sure about something. A major blocker action helps overcome.
Rescue, to save someone or something from danger or trouble. Ties into that point about not waiting for someone else to save you.
Encourage, to give someone support, confidence, or hope, which the source suggests you should do for yourself.
Antidote, something that fixes or stops a bad feeling or situation. Action is the antidote to regret.
Courageous, brave, and willing to take risks, like speaking even when you feel unsure.
Whisper, to speak very softly. Maybe how doubt or fear sometimes speaks in your head.
Decay, to slowly get worse or break down. What happens to dreams if you delay action?
Steer,
Yeah.
to guide or control the direction of something, emphasizing that you are in control.
Liberating, making you feel free and relieved. How taking ownership of your progress can feel.
Anchor, something that keeps you steady or grounded. Maybe action can be an anchor against doubt.
And finally, burden, a heavy load, either physical or emotional, like the burden of regret from inaction.
That vocabulary list really helps put precise language to some quite powerful ideas. And, learning those words, using them, that itself is a small action. It all adds up. Okay, so we've spent some time exploring that rich landscape of everyday communication needs shown in the first source, all those specific situations from banking to socializing to dealing with emergencies. And then we dove deep into the second source's really compelling message about the absolute importance of action, of not waiting, of pushing through fear to make progress and avoid that quiet regret.
Exactly. And the crucial link between the two, I think, is seeing how they fit together. It's not just about learning lists of phrases from those dialects in the first source. It's about realizing that the way you actually get good at using that language in those messy, unpredictable, real-life situations is by applying the principle of messy action from the second source. Taking those small, imperfect steps, speaking even when you're not sure, that's precisely how you build the skill and the confidence, the readiness to handle all those varied scenarios we talked about earlier. They really are two sides of the same coin. Situations demand the skill, and the messy action builds it.
That really brings our deep dive today full circle. We've journeyed through the sheer variety of communication that daily life throws at us, and we've heard a very strong, very clear call to prioritize doing over waiting, action over perfect planning.
Yeah, the core message feels incredibly relevant. Your time, your energy, your potential, it's just too valuable to let it leak away or decay through inaction. That action, even when it feels clumsy or small or imperfect, that's the real engine of progress and learning. And if we connect this to that bigger picture, actually facing those small everyday communication challenges like the ones in the first source, using that messy action approach from the second source, that's how you build the confidence and the skills, not just to speak better, but really to live a fuller, more engaged life instead of just watching from the sidelines.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? Here's something to maybe reflect on. Think about those everyday conversations we explored from the first source. Maybe it's making a phone call for an appointment, maybe asking for specific details of the bank or post office, maybe just describing how you feel about something. Which one of those feels the most intimidating, the most uncomfortable for you to tackle in English right now? And then, drawing on that powerful wisdom for the second source about messy action being the antidote to regret and the builder of readiness. Well, it's just one tiny, messy, imperfect action you could commit to taking today. Maybe it's looking up one single phrase you'd need. Maybe it's practicing saying one sentence out loud just to yourself. Maybe it's recording that 30-second voice note about the situation, even if nobody else ever hears it. What's one small step you can take today to feel just that little bit more ready, that little bit more courageous to face that situation tomorrow?